Hello everyone, welcome to Bitcoin Not Crypto. You can find me on Twitter X at ForestTotal, and in today's video I'm going to forecast how many Bitcoin I think that Strategy will be able to acquire this year and what their Bitcoin yield will be. Before I do that, I'm just going to have a quick message from the sponsor of the video, which is the reason why I can create so much content out there. So if you want to show support to this channel, show support to the sponsors. That's the best way possible. Thanks everyone. Today's video is brought to you by my good friends at the Bitcoin Way, the team who specializes in helping you become fully self-sovereign. The team has over 25 years of cybersecurity experience and offer the premier white glove service to walk you through proper 100% self-custody of your Bitcoin. It's absolutely critical that you are taking full control of your wealth and avoiding all counterparty risk of sharing keys with a third party. The Bitcoin Way will walk you through step by step exactly how to secure your Bitcoin, run your own node, manage UTXOs, and even tackle inheritance planning. The best part? They don't KYC you and never know the size of your Bitcoin stack, so you can learn to protect your wealth with complete privacy. The team can also help you upgrade your personal cybersecurity, set up a privacy phone, or even establish a Plan B residency. So, if freedom is what you desire, head over to thebitcoinway.com/forest or click the link in the description below to schedule a free 30-minute consultation with the Bitcoin Way. Don't delay. Your generational wealth depends on it. And again, that's the bitcoinway.com/forest or just click the link below. All right, so here we have a tweet. I'm recording this the day of release, but it's going to come out probably a couple days after. Michael Saylor here says MSTR has acquired 7,633 Bitcoin for $742 million at 97,000 per Bitcoin and has achieved a BTC yield of 4.2% year to date, which is what we're all interested in knowing, right? We want to know how much Bitcoin yield we'll be able to get, right? Because a lot of people, when they're buying Strategy, they're going to compare it to the other asset, that they're interested in, which is Bitcoin, right? And if you buy Bitcoin today, depending on the multiple to net asset value, you can acquire more Bitcoin today by just buying straight Bitcoin. But if you understand this Bitcoin yield metric, you can maybe look into the future and see possibly when the underlying Bitcoin per share will be higher than if you had just bought in Bitcoin today. That's kind of the idea, right? This is a company that is acquiring Bitcoin. They have an accretive dilution strategy so that even with the dilution they're doing, they are still able to increase Bitcoin per share. And this is, you look at this like a growth company and as an investment, right? As opposed to Bitcoin, which in my eyes is a savings mechanism. So this is strategy.com. This is their new site, which has all sorts of great metrics. If we look here at when they started acquiring this year, you can see that their yield has acquired to 4.1%. And they've acquired all of these amounts of Bitcoin, purchasing price and their total holdings, their Bitcoin NAV, and their acquisition cost or average cost. And what I did was I started throwing some calculations here in ChatGPT, kind of forced them to correct themselves, as the math is not its strongest suit, but I'm pretty sure these numbers are correct. So what I did here was based on 4.1% year to date for January 1st until February 10th, that's 41 days of the year. And, this year we have 366 days. And so to get a full year based on what Strategy has already been able to do, we have an approximation of 36.6% Bitcoin yield. Now, Strategy in their Q4 earnings call, they actually upped their Bitcoin yield estimates from between 6 to 10% to 15%. So this is more than double what they are estimating. Now, it's probably a good idea for them to underestimate how much Bitcoin they can acquire, but this seems fairly accurate to me. There's been a couple things that have slowed them down, the Bitcoin price being higher, There's, they haven't done any convertible bonds that so far this year. They've done some preferred, but they also have a lot more to do. They they might be able to change their 21-21 plan. So there's some variables within this. But with all of those variables put in, I think we have a pretty good snapshot in this first 41 days of how much Bitcoin they can realistically acquire throughout time, even with all of those variables. Because I expect Bitcoin's price to go up, but I expect them to be able to raise more money through convertible bonds, which we haven't seen yet. So I think these things will slightly equal out. And I think probably a 30 to, again, 36% is probably fairly accurate. We want the total amount of Bitcoin they are able to hold. So 36.6% of their current holdings is 163,382 additional Bitcoin to their already stack. So right here we have the number 609,782 Bitcoin by the end of the year. Now, do you think that this is too low? Do you think that this is too high? I mean, they acquired a lot more Bitcoin last year. They went very hard with the ATM. They went very hard with the convertible bonds. They acquired a lot in that last quarter of the year. They could hammer it. They could see the urgency. They could want to acquire more. But this is a decent estimate in my eyes. I think that this is a modest estimate. This is like that kind of middle of the road. They could do less. They could do more. I think that this is something that we should look at and consider as a possibility. 609,000 Bitcoin by the end of the year for a return of 36% per year of Bitcoin yield. So here we have another metrics site here. This is MSTR-tracker.com. And I'm going to show you the MNAV. I'm going to show you how much Bitcoin you could buy today and how much, how long it could take with, if we extrapolate this number out, or this percentage gain out, how long it would take to get allocated to the same amount of Bitcoin per share just owning MicroStrategy. So we have the NAV premium against diluted share here. We can round this to 2 times. So if you bought, say you bought 1 Bitcoin today, which is close to 100,000. If you bought $100,000 worth of shares of MicroStrategy, the Bitcoin per share underneath that would be half a Bitcoin. So how long would it take to double the amount of Bitcoin that you're kind of connected to by owning strategy shares? So in a sense here, at this rate, if they were able to keep that up for 3 years, it would take 3 years for you to have the same amount of Bitcoin underlying your shares as if you just bought Bitcoin today. Now, again, they could acquire Bitcoin a lot faster. They sure did last year. If we look at this Bitcoin yield, year to date was 74.3%. So they almost were able to double the amount, the 3/4 of the stack they added on top of it. So if you bought at the beginning of last year and, you waited to the end of this year at a 30%, you're actually more than double the amount of Bitcoin per share. So it's quite amazing. Looking at these previous numbers, right? 33 or 36 whatever percent in the 30s could actually be quite low compared, again, to what they were able to do last year. So it's on us as investors to decide, is that 36% low? Can I hold these shares for 3 years or more? Will there be some compounding? Will they increase that amount? Will they come up with new strategies? And are their current strategies able to acquire more Bitcoin than that 36%, even with the dilution? These are things that you have to decide as an investor. Is it, is the price appreciation going to happen even with the dilution? So there's all sorts of things to consider here, but this is just me mapping out a potential forecast for Bitcoin. And of course, this is just informational and educational and entertainment only. None of this is financial advice. I cannot advise you to buy MicroStrategy. The only thing I can really tell you is to study it, to study Bitcoin, and that if you want to buy Bitcoin, you should check out the sponsors in the links in the description. Bitcoin Well is where I do that. They send Bitcoin directly to your hardware wallet. In my opinion, it's the best way to buy Bitcoin. Thanks everyone for watching and listening. If there's something I missed here, if there's some comments that you have, of course, YouTube is where you do that, and we'll see you on the next video.